Hello everyone, this is part 2 of how to complete the Fizz Buzz challenge using Python. So let's do a quick review. The pseudocode for the Fizz Buzz challenge is to loop through 100 numbers. If any of those numbers are evenly divisible by 5 and 3, we print out Fizz Buzz. If they're evenly divisible by 3, we print out Fizz. If they're evenly divisible by 5, we print out Buzz. And if it doesn't fit any of that criteria, we print out the number itself. And here is the code we went over in part 1, and you can see the output over here in the console. Okay? So what if you were asked to do this in reverse? So you can see here we're starting at 1 and we're going all the way to 100. Well, let's show you how you can do that. Perhaps the easiest way is to just put reversed in front of the range. Okay, so let's type that out, reversed. Now let's go ahead and clear our console here. And let's run this with the reversed. Okay, so we're basically using the same code that we created in part 1. And we've just put reversed in front of the range. Let's go ahead and run it. And go up to the top, and you can see that we start at 100 and we go all the way down to 1. Okay, so that looks like it worked. Let's show you another way. Let's uncomment this section here, and let's comment this section out so we can just run this one part right here. Okay. So in this example, instead of using the reversed, we can set up our range in a different way. So in this case, the range starts at 1 and it goes up to but not including 101. Okay, so that's part of what we did in our original part 1, just to run it normally. The range can take 3 criteria: the start, the stop, and the step. Okay, so let's play with our range here and see if we can get this for loop to run and give us the same output that we got when we just put the reversed in. So in order to do this, what you can do is start with your start, put in 100. So we're going to start with 100, and we want to stop at 0, and that will actually function similar to this 101 when we said you go up to but not including 101. So when we print this out, we'll show you what this does. So we're going to stop at 0, and I believe that will actually go to but not including 0, but we'll show you when we print it out. Okay? And then your step, and you can think of that as a step or an increment. And we're going to put in a step or an increment of -1. So it should start at 100, go to 0, but it will actually go to 1, and then increment by -1. So this should count down in reverse fashion. Let's go ahead and run this and see what it gives us. Okay, so let's start back up at the top. We start at 100, and we scroll down, and it's counting in reverse all the way to 1. Okay? If you put in 1 here, let's show you what it does. Okay, so we go to the top. It does start at 100, so you can see 98, 99, 100, and it counts in reverse. And it ends at 2. So that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, this stop goes to but not including that number, okay? So in order for this to work in the way you might think it should work or would expect it to work, you actually want to put 0 here, and in a sense you can think of this as going to but not including that 0, so that will be an actual stop point of 1. Okay, now let's try to solve the Fizz Buzz challenge using a while loop. So I'm going to go ahead and type out the code, and then we'll explain it once we've got it all typed out. Let's create a variable and set that equal to 0. Let's create our while loop. We want to say while I is less than 100. Let's put in our augmented assignment. We're going to say I plus equals 1. And then we can put in our if-else statements. And let's just use some of our previous code for this part since we already have it all typed out. Let's use our if-else statements from our for loop. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're starting out with a start point of 0 here, that's I, and then we're saying while I is less than 100, so once it reaches 100 it should stop, and then this is our incrementer, and you can think of this as an augmented assignment. And this notation right here, if this is not familiar to you, is the same as saying I is equal to I plus 1. So this should increment by 1. And then we have our normal if-else statement. Okay? So let's go ahead and try and print this and see what we get. Okay, let's start up at the top. So we start at 1. And let's go all the way down to the bottom, see what we end at. And it ends at 100. So far, this looks pretty good. To do a quick check, remember that Fizz Buzz should be at increments of 15. So we have Fizz Buzz at 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, and 90. Okay? And then remember that Buzz should be at increments of 5. So we have Buzz at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Of course, you always want to check your answer to make sure that it's doing exactly what you expect it to do. But this looks pretty good. Okay, now let's try to do this with a while loop, but in reverse. So again, we need to create our variable, and let's set our variable equal to 101. Let's create our while loop, and we want to say while I is greater than 1. And then we want to put in our augmented assignment, and we want to say I minus equals 1. And again, we should be able to just copy and paste our if-else statements. And let's try and run this and see what we get. Okay, so we start up at the top, and we start with 100, and you can see this is 100 because we have 98, 99, 100. And then we go down to the bottom, and we can see it's counting in reverse until we get to 1. So that is it for this part 2 of how to solve the Fizz Buzz challenge. Just to review, in part 1 we did a for loop, and in this part 2, we showed you how to do the for loop but count in reverse, and we showed you how to solve the Fizz Buzz challenge using a while loop, and how to solve it using the while loop in reverse, counting in reverse. Okay? We'll be doing many more Python tutorials in the near future. Join us for those, and we'll see you next time.